I think we'll have a couple of trustees join us by the time we get, deep into this. So. Good. Get our host back here. I'd also like to introduce Drew Woodsworth. Drew is a new board member and a new committee member, and it's great to have him on board. He just left the development committee as well, and Drew, great to be working with you. And looking forward to that. So,
Excited to be here.
All right, are we ready to get started? All right, Gio, have you done what we needed to do?
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on.
So just so that everybody in the audience knows, this is very unusual. This happens, I guess, once every 10 years. And we're going to be having our second public hearing regarding the campus master plan. The Board of Trustees recently talked about this at their trustee workshop. We've talked to the board about this several times over the past 18 months or so, but hopefully today we will be reaching final conclusion on the campus master plan. We have a number of our colleagues here from facilities who have invested a lot of their time and talent into this plan, who know much more about it than even I do. And we also have an associate here from our general counsel's office, Dustin Daly, who is going to help guide us through pieces of the presentation. So Dustin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, let me take this off so you guys can hear me talk. Well, good afternoon to those of you here in Tallahassee, and still good morning to those of you joining us in Panama City. Welcome to the second public hearing for the adoption of our 2020-2030 campus master plan. This is the penultimate stop in a public engagement process that's required by law for the adoption of our campus master plan. So very briefly, what are we talking about? By its nature, the campus master plan is not something we do very often, as Vice President Clark just mentioned. For many of us, this will be our first time walking through this process. The university campus master plan is required by 1013.30 of the Florida statutes, and also described in Chapter 21 of the Florida Board of Governors regulations. Like Kyle mentioned, we undertake this process every 5 to 10 years in non-pandemic times, and it reflects a 10 to 20 year time horizon of what the university plans for campus. The legislature recognized that while campuses provide research and educational benefits on the national level and economic and cultural benefits at a local level, they also impact public facilities and the services of their host local governments. The slide that just came up shows the context area for what we're talking about. These are our two host local governments, the Tallahassee campus and the Panama City campus. So the legislature wanted to address this unique relationship and balance the needs of the university and its host local governments. And the end result provides predictability for the future of university development and ensures coordination and compatibility with the surrounding communities. Our plan has 18 elements, 8 of those are required by law. And each of those elements has goals and objectives with policies we've put in place to meet those goals and objectives. And those are all supported by data and analysis that we include in the plan. So in sum, we're taking inventory of what we have, what we've used historically, what we think we'll need in the future, and we're making recommendations on how we get there. It's important to note that we're not asking this committee or the Board of Trustees to approve an individual building or program. Rather, this is our long-term vision at this moment in time, and there's a process for amendment if we need to make adjustments over the next few years. So with that brief explanation, let us take a look at our agenda for today's second public hearing. There we go. All right, so before Vice President Clark presents our campus master plan, I'll briefly lay out the rules of order for today's public hearing, and I'll give you a brief background of the legal process. After Vice President Clark presents, we'll take a brief 5-minute recess to allow anyone wishing to make public comment a moment to fill out their comment card and to sign the speaker roster. More on that in a few minutes. After all public comments have been received, we will close the second public hearing, reopen the committee meeting, and the committee will have an opportunity to discuss the campus master plan presentation, as well as any public comments that we receive. Assuming there are no substantive changes proposed by the committee will then vote on a recommendation to the FSU Board of Trustees to approve the adoption of the campus master plan, and also to authorize university staff to begin negotiating our campus development agreements with our host local governments. That's the city of Tallahassee and the city of Panama City. All right, next slide. So these are the rules of order for today's public hearing. They're intended to ensure that the comment process flows smoothly, ensure fairness, but also to provide a clear record of today's proceedings. We are required to record and archive public comments as part of this process. So it's important that we can hear everyone speak clearly, and also identify their address and where they're from for the record. As I mentioned earlier, please hold all public comments until after the presentation. We will make it very clear when the public comment period begins. If you intend to speak today, we will need you to fill out a comment card and print your name on the speaker roster prior to the end of that 5-minute recess. Speaker sign-up cards are available at the back of this room. Also, for those of you in Panama City, Mr. Nick should have those identified in the back of the room there in Panama City. If you're joining us through Zoom, please go to the chat and indicate that you would like to speak. Enter your name, address, email, and a comment about what you wish to address. On the comment cards, please print clearly, and on the roster as well. We will be using the roster to call you to the microphone, and also as we mail out the notice of adoption at the end, we need your address to mail that to you. So please make sure you write clearly. Your name will be called. You'll ask to come up to the microphone to present your comments. If you're joining us remotely, your name will be called and your mic will be unmuted. We encourage speakers whose comments repeat or echoes comments made by other speakers, that you indicate that you have a similar comment to those previously shared. Let's see, what else do I need to cover? All right. If you are here to speak on behalf of an organization, please identify that organization before making your comment, and also provide their address. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. When you are finished speaking, please turn in your comment card to Lori Thomas here in Tallahassee. Lori, will you raise your hand real quick? And to Dan Nix in Panama City. Dan, if you could raise your hand in Panama City. Thank you, sir. All comments, including oral comments, will be noted in our campus archive. They will be recorded and transcribed and become part of the record. And I believe we're going to make those available on the facilities website when this process is over. All right, so those are the rules of the order. All right, this slide shows you the process that we have gone through and kind of where we are now. Like I mentioned earlier, this process began months ago. It's already included 2 other public meetings. We had our informal information session and our first public hearing on June 15th. On June 18th, 3 days later, we posted our 95% draft of the campus master plan on the facilities website. We also transmitted that plan to various state agencies, to our host local government, and to a couple other local governments that we affect. That began the 90-day review period for those state agencies to review our plans, to make comments and send those to us. And that review period ended on September 16th, 2021. And as I indicated earlier, today is the second public hearing. Assuming all goes well today and the committee recommends approval to the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees will take this item up for adoption at their meeting tomorrow. Next slide. Real quick, this is a list of the statutory review agencies that I mentioned. The first two are our host local governments. The others are regional or state reviewing agencies. Of those, we received comments from the Department of Environmental Protection and Economic Opportunity, just recognizing they received our plan. They had no substantive comments. They actually said we did a good job. The city of Tallahassee was the only responding agency that had substantive comments. We've incorporated as appropriate those suggested changes into our plan, and we sent a response letter to the city thanking them for their response as well. Most of their comments were geared towards stormwater and stormwater conveyance, and we'll have an opportunity to address those comments with them as we negotiate our campus development agreement. Other than that, we have not received public comments from anyone else at this time. What happens after adoption? Again, hopefully the Board of Trustees will adopt the campus master plan at tomorrow's meeting. Within 45 days, we will send a notice of adoption to affected parties who submit comments during the review process. Those individuals will then have 30 days to submit petitions with objections to the FSU Board of Trustees. Private petitioners will only be able to address those issues that were raised in their comments. After that appeal period ends, we will begin negotiation of our campus development agreement with the city of Tallahassee and the city of Panama City. Also, after the Board of Trustees adopts the plan, copies of the campus master plan will be available on the website, as I mentioned. Also, physical copies will be available in our facilities building, Mendenhall building here on campus. There will be a copy in the reserve section of Strozier Library. In Panama City, there will be a copy in the Library and Learning Center. Let's see. And lastly, you've heard me reference the campus development agreement a couple of times. Let me just tell you briefly what that is. This is an agreement that will be between the university, the city of Tallahassee, and then a separate campus development agreement between the university and the city of Panama City. These agreements are for 10 years in duration. They identify the public facilities that will serve campus from the campus master plan, analyze their impacts on local infrastructure, the levels of service for the local infrastructure. We're talking about roads, sanitary sewer, solid waste, drainage, and public transportation. It identifies who will provide those services and what financial arrangements, if any, are necessary between the university and the host local government in order to mitigate the university's impacts. Fortunately for us, we've made payments over years under previous campus development agreements, and we have concurrency remaining under our existing campus development agreements. And Lori Pinkerton has done a fantastic job of tracking that for us over the years. And so we're very appreciative of that. And once we sign the campus development agreement, all campus development may proceed without further review by the host local government, as long as it's consistent with our campus master plan and the campus development agreement. That's a big deal for us. Otherwise, we would be subject to the permitting review process like the private sector, and that would be a significant delay on many of our projects. All right, and then finally, this is the committee action item that the committee will take up at the end of the public comment period. Remember, after Vice President Clark finishes his presentation, we'll take that 5-minute recess. That will be your last opportunity to fill out a comment card and sign the speaker roster. After the recess, we will open the public comment period for those of you that filled out your cards. Once we hear from each of the speakers, we will close the second public hearing, return to the committee meeting where the committee will entertain this action item. Are there any questions before Vice President Clark begins? All right. Do we have any questions online? No? All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Dustin. So I'm going to try to go through some of this rather quickly, since it is a repeat of some of the information that we talked about at the last Board of Trustees meeting. Sorry, Trustee Weatherford. But in the essence of time today, and to get through what all Chairman Henderson would like for us to have the opportunity to talk about. On this slide, we would really like to remind the trustees the statewide presence that the university has. So we have a number of sites around the state of Florida. There are even additional sites that we talked about in the governance committee meeting that aren't listed on here. For example, space that we lease via JMI and some of the other centers and institutes we have. But as you can tell from this slide, we have a big presence around the state of Florida. Dustin touched on this earlier, but this is one campus master plan, but it affects 2 different cities. And so we have different thought processes and different initiatives on the Tallahassee campus as we do at the Panama City campus, as we do in the Marine Lab that we're also showing. But this plan affects both campuses. And both constituent groups have been involved in helping us prepare for this. These were the guiding principles that we worked through as we developed our campus master plan. We talked about these during the Board of Trustees workshop last month, but they are putting students first to achieve student success in academics and in development, heritage in terms of celebrating our past and our legacy, stewardship in terms of being good stewards of our resources, partnerships, building strategic partnerships across the institution, connectivity, making sure that we are connected and we are enhancing mobility. That's very important, even more so now, post-pandemic. Talent, attracting and attaining the very best talent as it relates to students and to faculty and staff members as well. And then our identity, strengthening and established identity across all of our campuses. We thought differently about our campus master plan this year as what we did the previous time that we put this together. We tried to divide the projects into near term, midterm, and far term, really trying to take into account the financial resources that the institution has as well. And so near term projects were projects that we saw that could be accomplished in years 1 through 5. Midterm were projects that could be accomplished 6 to 10. And then far term were really projects that are likely not to happen within this strategic plan, although we're still ambitious and bold and hoping to accomplish them. We wanted to break out for the Board of Trustees for you all to be able to see what these projects look like. So we are showing you what new construction we have in the near term, which is a total of around 7 projects at Tallahassee. Renovations, there's 3 projects. In Panama City, there's 1 new construction and during the near term, and you can go all the way down. The majority of the time today, we want to walk through some of these projects so that you get a better feel for them. Now, we're showing you a lot of charrettes and a lot of the designs. The designs, of course, are subject to change. All throughout the next 10 years, we will be bringing back minor campus master plan revisions. So don't necessarily get tied onto the exact particular way a building is facing or a way the building is looks or the exact placement of a specific intersection or road, because all of those things can be tweaked. So for the Tallahassee campus in the near term, here are the proposed new constructions, and we're going to walk through and look at many of these projects. So the first one is the football operations facility that is also on the finance and business agenda later today to talk about the architectural review. This is a schematic of what that project will hopefully look like. It's being built adjacent to the football training facility now. And Michael Alford will be here to talk to you all about that in just a few minutes. This is the weight room, the therapy room. Next is the Veterans Legacy Complex. This has been on the university's campus master plan for a number of years, and a project that we've requested funding from the state of Florida and from hopefully some assistance from the federal government as well. This is what the project would look like, and this is being built, would be built near the stadium, and we've already demoed one of the buildings that would be necessary in order to move the project along.
What's the cost on something like that?
So, well, it varies by what we can fundraise and what we can attain. When we started the project, we were originally hoping to land somewhere between $8 to $12 million. But we have the ability, I think, to value engineer it if it were necessary. But we would definitely want to be somewhere in at least the $10 million range.
So if it was $10 million, what would we see from the state?
We were trying to get 100% of it from the state. But the rules have changed since then, so likely we would be talking about getting up to probably like 80 to 90% from the state.
That wasn't was that in our request this year?
It is on our 5-year fixed capital outlay request,
But
yes,
not
sir.
for this year.
It's on the 5-year plan, but the Board of Governors haven't allocated any points to it, so it's not on a position to get a hearing from the BOG. It's not been prioritized. The next one is the Arena District Hotel. I know we've talked about this a number of years, but this would be built adjacent to the Turnbull Conference Center where we are today. It would be a hotel that would serve an academic purpose and have a lot of work being done by our students who are in our hospitality area and working with a private hotel developer and hopefully a flagged management company as well. Right now, we are working with the Real Estate Foundation to hopefully conclude a potential ground lease and a negotiation with the private developer right now. The new College of Business, I think you all are very familiar with this project. This is the latest rendering of it. We are actively fundraising for this project. The Dean of the College of Business is out on the road right now fundraising for this. We do have all of the public money in hand now. The legislature did allocate the remaining public funds necessary to start this project. We are continuing with the design work. We were 50% complete with the design work back on July 1st, and we have been working with our architectural and construction management team since then. What the interior would look like. The Dittmer Building. So the Dittmer Building is a building that a lot of our undergraduate students utilize. It has well loved, and we have a lot of opportunities to utilize it more efficiently and to be able to have more research labs and teaching labs, but there's a number of renovation projects that need to be completed in order to be able to bring it up to modern standards. And then the Doak Campbell Stadium repair work. I think that most of you all are familiar with this. That's a project that the boosters are working on right now to do a number of improvements to Doak Campbell, and hopefully we'll be able to receive some funding from the city and county to assist with some of those renovations. Tallahassee, yes, sir. Tallahassee campus, the main midterm 6 to 10 year projects. So the FSU Flying Circus has an expansion that they would like to pursue to expand the circus facility. Reimaginers Collaborative Center. This is a project where we would establish a more of a robust conference center where we can bring in people from all across the world. It's connected to the Turnbull parking garage and part of our Campus Reimagine project. The basketball training facility would be built next to the Tucker Center and the existing basketball training facility. It would just expand what we have there now. The house wrap music additions and remodeling would be a new building for the College of Music that would be built next to Kirsteiner. They're actively raising money for this project right now as well.
How much is that?
It's about 18 million, I think, the last number that I heard. Residence Hall replacement 1 and 2 would be built where Sally Hall is sitting today. And this is what that would look like. You're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $65 million plus for that project.
So Sally comes down.
Sally will be demoed and then a new residence hall would go in its place. Yes, sir.
Stay at Sally.
Proposed renovation work would be at Tully Gym, University Center, Building D, the Engineering Lab, and Carruthers. And then Dirac as well. Here's some of the renovation work that we've recently done at Strozer Library. Kellogg is also a project that's rated very high on our list, as you pointed out earlier, Chairman Collins. This is a project for our College of Criminology. That's one of the top criminology colleges in the country. It's a $35 million project, and we've asked the state to assist with funding for it. And the college is also raising private funding. This is what the project would be, would look like when completed. The space is very underutilized now. So the Southwest site out at Innovation Park, this is what the projects look like in the near term in years 1 through 5. I think all of you know we have broken ground on IRCV. And this is what that project will hopefully look like when it's completed.
That's about 80 million,
88.
$88 million.
The FSU nursery and grounds and warehouses, potentially relocating them because of the Blueprint Gateway Road. And we've been working with an architectural group on that road alignment. The National High Magnetic Laboratory improvements and expansion. There's a lot of work that has to be done at the Mag Lab in terms of infrastructure projects that are on our university fixed capital outlay plan and the campus master plan. This is the Mag Lab right now. And then I think most of you know about the Blueprint Gateway Road that will go through our Innovation Park campus and connect the downtown area with the airport. In terms of 6 to 10 years, we have FSU College of Engineering Phase 3. That's a project that we've asked the state for funding for. It's on both the university's fixed capital outlay list and FAMU's fixed capital outlay list.
How is that different from the bog priority list?
So the BOG evaluates the Board of Trustees approved list, and they assign points to the projects based on our space utilization, based on the growing areas and the majors and the opportunities, and then they rate them across the state, and then they invite you to make a presentation on your project based on the priorities.
Now, what is our enrollment projection for these years? Is it stable or is it growing?
So and right now it's stable. So we're not factoring any enrollment growth in our long-term plan. So thus far, our plan has always been to improve on quality, not increase necessarily the total number of students across campus. These are intramural rec field improvements that are slated in the midterm as well. In terms of Panama City, near term, they have a student housing joint mixed use development. I think most of you all are familiar with this. We're going to be talking about this at the Board of Trustees meeting tomorrow. I'm going to give you an update on that.
That's separate from the apartments that we're just.
This is them.
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
They have opened, but when we started this, they were still being built. Midterm projects, 6 to 10 years. You have a conference center, renovations at the Bayside building, and then exterior enhancements in terms of parking expansions, and then a campus green as well. Far term visions. So these are far out. These are some of the things that Chairman Henderson really wanted to talk about, where a lot of opportunities we see for connectivity and for innovation, really looking at our northwest quadrant, trying to create a new Seminole green, and then the arena district as well. So we would improve connections, kind of expand the legacy walk and make it more pedestrian friendly throughout campuses, enrich the student experience, and then create a more accessible campus. This is what campus looks like today. And this is the far-term vision.
Recall running from Westcott to the biology building. At full pace.
So that bottom right corner is the new Seminole green area.
Yes, sir.
Is that academic buildings and housing?
Correct. Academic research and housing.
So we wouldn't continue to build the research just out of Innovation Park and bring some of it on campus.
Yes, sir. We would like to have some more research buildings on campus. It's just been a challenge in terms of there's not a footprint. So in order to implement this vision, we obviously would have to knock down several of our existing buildings in order to accomplish this.
What's the thoughts you in the past been on knocking down buildings to make way for?
I think we've had a lot of conversations around that. And I think they understand that sometimes it's more cost effective to start over than it is to renovate the old buildings. So these are a list of all of those buildings that we talked about, and really a lot of them, to your point, Chairman Collins, we've just listed as future buildings because we know we're going to need additional academic space. We know we're going to need additional research space. We know we are going to need additional student support space, but instead of somebody seeing a building on a document and getting their heart set on it, we've just labeled them all future buildings so that we have a placeholder. When the President McCullough comes in and says that he wants to build a building, we can take him and show him all of these options in terms of where he might want to put the building. Far-term vision in terms of the Southwest campus. So of course, we know about the Gateway Road, and then there's a lot of opportunity for innovation, trying to develop an innovation center where we could have more entrepreneurship and innovation, and perhaps P3s out at Innovation Park, and then having more mixed use on a number of the parcels that we have out there.
Now, if we flip back a minute, is there any relief to Gates traffic?
No.
Any that very deliberate pathway
Right.
going west. So there's
No,
really nothing around that, is there?
no, sir. This is the far-term vision in terms of future academic buildings that would be built along with mixed-use buildings out at Innovation Park. This is what Innovation Park would look like far-term. You can see the Gateway Road, the golf course, and then you can see a number of those mixed-use and innovation buildings. Panama City far-term, future academic buildings, and the renovation work. And this is the far-term vision that we hope to accomplish around all of the campus, both at the Tallahassee campus, Innovation Park, and at the Panama City campus. We've had a number of folks that have worked on this that we want to thank profusely for that. I think the next thing we need to do, Chairman Henderson, is open it up to, I'd like to open it up, if you're okay, to any of the staff to touch on anything that I might have missed in my comments. And then open it up to questions from the Board of Trustees, and then we need to take questions and comments from the public as well.
Any of the staff present? Any comments?
Anything you need to correct?
Nope.
Okay,
Everything pretty well.
all right.
Open really for the online.
If we're ready for the public comment section, let's do our quick 5-minute recess, give everyone their last minute chance to fill out comment cards. If you have filled out your comment card, please do so now. And we'll resume in the next 5 minutes and start calling up speakers that have submitted comment cards and signed the speaker roster.
All right, so we'll take
Cards right here on the corner.
a quick break.
Why don't you proceed with public comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we have reached our 5-minute mark on the recess. We'll start calling our public speakers up. I'll note that we don't have any speakers from Tallahassee. No one's filled out the roster or comment cards. I also don't believe we have any speakers from the Zoom, from online. And we don't. And so at this time, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speakers from Panama. So I'll begin calling our friends in Panama City. I'll start calling you up one by one. Remember, limit yourself to 3 minutes. And before you begin, please clearly state your name, your address, and any affiliation that you have. And we will go from there. So first up in Panama City, Tim Gibson.
Okay, he said I didn't have to get a microphone, so I just gonna stand.
Go slower.
Yeah. And I guess I got to see it first, so I guess I'm sort of maybe mostly prior subdivision because we're in.
Mr. Gibson, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you move closer to a microphone so we can hear you in Tallahassee? I apologize for interrupting.
Do I need to get behind it?
That's good, right there. Yes, sir, that's fine.
Anyway, our main concern was what's adjacent to our subdivision. The second is, of course, is the stormwater runoff, which is mostly going to be the city. But I had not had a chance to see the master plans. I had talked to Dan before, and he assured me that area was going to be better. And so seeing the master plan, if it's approved and they hold to it, there'll be no buildings and nothing down there. Now, and I would assume that the university would upgrade that and make it nice looking and something that's compatible with our property. People who live in our subdivision are there, to me, about 90% for the view. And so it's the view and what's there is awfully important to us. The other thing, you just said that the stormwater and is going to be provided for as we go along, and it normally is with public buildings. So that's all I had to say, and I'm sure some of the neighbors may have some stuff to add to it or some of their concerns, but that was my concern, and of course Dan knew that, and we've been talking about it. We just wanted to be sure that everything was going to be, that we were all going to be good neighbors. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comment. All right, next on our speaker list for Panama City, and forgive me if I mispronounce your last name, Michael Cohn. And a quick reminder as he makes his way up, please state your name, your address, and any affiliation that you have. Thank you.
My name is Michael Coyne. I don't have any affiliation other than I live in the neighborhood since 1978. I bought my lot there in 1971. My question was, who authorized the giveaway of the lot next door to 4452 Ashland Road without consulting with the other Ashland property owners? I was led to believe that that was a piece of property that the neighborhood held in common, that we could all have access to the waterfront through that spot. But somehow it was given away without consulting with the neighborhood. Sir?
The Brown Road right away.
With what kind of road?
Brown Road, Brown Avenue.
Brown Avenue, yes.
Dead ended into the back.
But what about the property on either side of that? Right.
That's the point, is that was the road right away that went in. I don't know how FSU wound up with.
Yeah, you're saying it went all the way from wherever Brown Avenue was, all the way,
Brown Avenue is the road that comes in and goes straight down to the back.
yes,
They changed the name on
right.
it. On the old plaques,
And
it
it,
shows as Brown Avenue. And the road right away died into the back.
okay, Yes, that was my understanding. So that's my request. Why did we lose it? How come we were not consulted? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. And speakers, please remember to state your address for the record. Next up, James Robinson.
My name is Jim Robinson, 4421 Fletcher Street, Panama City, Florida, 32405. I'm new to the neighborhood, but I'm third house down on Fletcher Street. FSU in the neighborhood is a good location, wonderful neighborhood. I'm proud to be there. I have a problem with your lighting that comes from FSU and shines clear to almost to the end of Fletcher Street near the bayou. And the sounds and the noise that comes from your power plant, it kicks on, and it's been a hot summer, true, but your plant runs night and day, and it's very noisy. And I understand before there was some trees along Ashland Road, is it? And they have all disappeared after the hurricane, but I understood that they were going to be replaced. There are ways that you can be a good neighbor, and we want to be good neighbors, I'm sure you. And that's my concerns. Noise and lighting. It's at night, even on a dark moon, it's very light. With a full moon last night, hey, I can read the newspaper. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Our next speaker is Scott Farmer.
Hi, my name is Scott Farner. I live at 4423 Fletcher Street, Panama City, 32405. I'm just kind of addition to the previous concerns that we have. When I first got here, there was a nice buffer zone of woods between our neighborhood and Florida State campus. And then when they built the loading dock public works building, all that went away. And what Jim was just saying is all true. It's a very, very noisy building. It's a very not visually pleasing building because it's a loading dock. And unfortunately for Panama City, their campus is so small, it's hard to hide the dirty laundry that every large facility has. Most large campuses have a public works building tucked back into the back 40 where nobody gets to see it and nobody worries about it. But unfortunately, Panama City doesn't have that luxury. They're going to have to do a very good job of keeping things clean, keeping things looking good. And I personally would like to see a hedgerow or something between our neighborhood and Florida State along Ashland Road, even though it will remove the view of the bay that some people do get to see when they're driving in. Right now, we get to look at a lot of unpleasing curbs out in the grass and now a used car parking lot around the corner. So we're not asking for a lot, just, it's not a lot of money to be spent, just a little bit of beautification. I think our neighborhood would be very happy with everything. I don't know what you could do about the noise. It's a pretty loud HVAC system that you have running here at the Public Works building. That's really it. We just want people to be good neighbors and keep their places looking nice, so everybody's property values are maintained. And I am also concerned about that piece of property where all the cars are being parked now, basically taken without any kind of notice to our neighborhood. And it actually decreases our value, it decreased our value, our property value, because we don't have that community property anymore for bay access. And I didn't really mind it so much that Florida State got that property until they turned it into a parking lot with a bunch of vehicles. So that's all I really have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. And our last speaker from Panama City is Teresa Tuno. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, but I was just reiterating what everyone else has already said.
Oh, okay. I heard that, and I believe what she said was her comments were the same as the previous speakers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. And I'll check once more. Do we have any speakers online? No. Okay. So we still have no speakers online and no speakers here in Tallahassee. Mr. Chair, I think that concludes our public speaking. If we are ready to close out the public comment and reopen the committee meeting for the committee to take the item up.
Well, very good. We'd like to, on behalf of the committee, thank you for you taking the time to come in and register your comments and thoughts to us. And certainly they are record and will be provided to the administration. So thank you for doing a good deed for your neighbors and the community.
So the action before you, Chairman Henderson, is to recommend to the Board of Trustees to approve the adoption of the 2020-2030 Campus Master Plan and authorize university staff to commence negotiation of an updated campus development agreement with the City of Tallahassee and the City of Panama City.
So that's the committee action item. Having read, looking for a motion for approval.
I will make that motion. I'll second that.
Second, motion made, second. Open the floor for any further comments. There being none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those likewise not in favor? Have none, having passed. So, Kyle and really entire staff, thank you for putting this together and giving us a view of what tomorrow looks like. I know one of our trustees was reflecting upon the fact that if you look at building costs and timing of getting things built and estimates today will look different tomorrow, but as the funds available, obviously we'll have to deal with that. And we can only wish this to be done short term, but it will not. It'll be more long term. But
I think Kyle showed us going to be very flexible. What happens today? Made a contract. The contractor, when plywood was $15 a sheet, now it's $65, $70. Very difficult to predict what's going to happen. Short term, I mean, not even in the midterm. What I just planning so well thought out that I think will be great for the school. Really would keep our school in the top 20 and even better.
yes. Very good.
Thank you. So we're going to end the hearing now.